Thank you, Sue. Hello, everybody. My name is Naoki Takahashi. Good morning and good afternoon and good evening all over you. I'm excited to have an opportunity to talk to the audience all over the world. All right, so let me just give you some short, quick myself introduction. So I have worked for both supplier side and client side of marketing research, and I have now working in marketing research function at Nissan, which is called MI, standing for Market Intelligence. Among the scope of my responsibilities in MI, I'm responsible to lead designing the future of MI. And I believe we are facing a huge opportunity to redefine ourselves and the marketing research industry in a greater scope. So I'd like to talk about the opportunity as well as the challenge. And as everybody are aware of, when finding and providing customer insights, MI function no longer rely on just marketing research, but leverage any kinds of data emerging to be used for customer understanding. MI function, of course, has expertise to use marketing research data, but has not been ready to use all of other data. However, being ready to use new data requires not just new expertise, but also redefining the whole MI structure. All right, so let's look at the whole structure based upon my hypothesis. This is just my hypothesis to describe MI structure redefinition. It starts at the very right and to the left. So if we answer to the questions, for example, what kind of new data do we need to use? And what are the right tools to use the new data? We also need to answer to the question like what are the right sources for the data and tools? And then also how to keep us updated about new data and tools in the future. And then, in order to answer to those questions, we also need to answer to the questions like how is the right structure of MI organization? Do they all need to use the new data or not? And then talking about the structure, we also rethink the way of hiring and nurturing scheme by answering to the question like how to get people capable to use new data and tools and how to train them. And finally, we need to redefine the way we deliver customer insights. So what is the right structure to describe customers by gathering a wide variety of data? So this, as I discussed here, that requires the whole structure. And then let's look at the each element. Begin with this. Data sources and customer context structure are interrelated. So data sources need to assume its outputs, and then the customer context structure is dependent upon the data availability. Again, all these are hypotheses, but let's define the customer context first. At least in Nissan, when we talk about customers, most of the case, we do so in a product and communication-centric way. We talk about customers' evaluation of products and communication, and needs and insight as the target for our products and the KPI assessments. But I believe we should talk about them in a more customer-centric way and redefine the structure we talk about customers. There will be a lot of ways to do so, but I would hypothesize 3 topics are the core: usage, purchase, and narrative. About usage topic, we describe what and how customers expect for products and services, and how they actually use them, and how they evaluate it, and how are they satisfied and dissatisfied with it. About purchase topic, we would describe the way they search, choose, and buy products and services. The mobility will be more like subscription in the near future about the automotive industry. So subscription could be another topic to combine usage and purchase. And finally, narrative topic is about the customer's recognition and perception about what they hear and perceive about the brand, product, service, as well as their experiences. It is about the message communicated by companies, as well as the experience shared by other consumers. For each topic, data would be different, as in the table here, in accordance with the nature of their information and availability. Again, this is just my hypothesis, and then there will be a different and better way to tell the customer context. And since the data and tools will be merged one after another, the scope should be flexible and always updated. If we do it in random fashion when we take data and trial use of it, it's going to be just a mess and inefficient. So we should develop a strategy to choose the data and tools to put it on the trial, to assess it, and to make it an official data and tool. But we have not made it yet. Then among AMI members, who should use it? All of us? I'm not sure, but probably not. But as new data and tools will emerge one after another, it will not be a good idea that everybody keep themselves updated about it. It would make more sense to divide MI function into two ends, front end and back end. Back end members should have expertise in data and tools and methodologies to use and be familiar with the latest ones. They could support front end members by providing them with advanced analytics and then the latest use of data and tools, while also providing stakeholders in staff functions with customer insight. Front-end members should have expertise in company business processes and corporate agenda, define customer insight and share it with stakeholders in line functions and executives. And they would do so in a better way by getting support from back-end members. So how would they be hired and developed? It would be reasonable that the back-end specialists are hired from outside of the company and contribute to training MI members on new data and tools and methodologies, in addition to customer insight provision. Front-end members will be better to hire within the company stakeholders functions. And then finally and most importantly, how does MI source new data and tools? Currently, we do so one by one. Marketing research data from marketing research companies, social media data from social media vendors, and so on. But this is very much inefficient and complex and painful for client functions, my functions. And worse than that, with this sourcing scheme, marketing research companies are just one of the one of the data sources. I strongly believe this is a great opportunity for marketing research companies to make a big step forward to work as a one-stop shopping place for all data to understand customer by integrating multiple data sources. Furthermore, importantly, marketing research companies could provide clients' company with a way to develop customer context by connecting different data together, because that is exactly their core expertise. To look at this, client MI functions are in the risk of inefficiency and complexity, struggling with drawing blueprints of any kinds of aspects I have mentioned. And then the marketing research companies are in the ideal position to solve these issues for us. However, this is a big however, I have not got any proposal from marketing research companies to touch on this issue. I just wonder why. It should be a golden opportunity for marketing research companies to get away from being dwarfed in a small role and to turn it to making a big influence over the multiple industries and playing a far greater role for client companies. It is not just data and tools. As I discussed all through my presentation, it could be a proposal on all aspects of the strategy for MI functions. And I strongly believe that the risk and opportunity are true for any kinds of MI function in the world. So I'm talking to the audience in marketing research company and encourage your brave proposal to client companies. Let's leverage this huge opportunity together. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Takahashi-san. A good challenge there. So I have got one or two questions I think that we could look at. If we go back to this slide, Nissan are a global organization in every part of the world. So do you think that this sort of MR company would have to be a global organization, or could it be based in Tokyo? Could it be based in London?
Since it is a digital world and then anybody can access to any kinds of data from anywhere from the world, I think it could be global, and also it could be located in just Tokyo. Yeah.
Super. And what sort of proposals are you receiving from market research companies at the moment? Are they just talking about market research data, or are some of them talking a little bit wider?
The most of the cases, they are about the new methodologies or new analytics about marketing research, and also the new tools and then applications and softwares to digest and analyze social media data and search query data and so on. So it's just piece by piece, elements by element. So I understand there will be a huge effort to invest in and then develop a new tools for that, but I haven't get any big picture proposals.
If we look at this slide, and if we think about Nissan, but also the other large organizations, because I know that you speak to other client-side organizations, is there a reality that the stakeholders are collecting information from other places? On this diagram, we have the information going from MI to the company stakeholders. But are the company stakeholders beginning to collect information themselves, do you think?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why kind of, MI function in a client company are competing with the, other functions, for example, marketing functions, because they, of course, they can access to any kinds of, data through social media or other kinds of data. And then they claim that this is customer insights. And then sometimes, it could be biased to their interests. So, we need to stand in an objective and neutral position that, no, this is the truth and so on. So, we are kind of in a different, difficult position because, most of the case, they own those data because they have a huge budget, far huge than the marketing research budget. And then, by using those kind of budget, they get lots of data, but they, tend to own the data and then sometimes refuse the accessibility to MI functions. So we are kind of in a battle in a company.
Yes, but if we take the model of integrating the information, we will need the stakeholders to share their data. They can still own it, but if they want to get the integration, then they will need to share it.
Right. So that's the huge problem. And then probably one of the most challenge for marketing research company is, it should also touch on the, not just, third party data, but also, first party and second party data as well.
I think the interesting integration we're looking at is this first party and second party and third party to create a new total picture. And probably linking back to the last presentation, then going back to issues like the evolutionary psychology so that we know what it means. Because in an engineering company, and Nissan has wonderful engineering, there can be a focus too much on things and not enough on hearts and minds, perhaps.
Exactly, Reza, that's the point. If we're going to the last slide. There we go. Okay. So the reason, the most, convincing reason why marketing research company could be the one-stop shopping place for all these kind of data for customer understanding is that, marketing research company has the capability and expertise to understand and then develop customer context to give the story for customer understanding. And then it is, because they have qualitative capabilities. But, technology companies or system people don't have it. They just love numbers, and then they are so much care about, convergent rate and things like that. But, since the marketing researcher have, qualitative capability, they can, develop a context based upon several kinds of data. Few years ago, Google people came to us to make a presentation about the customers based upon their studies. They used a lot of Google data. That was beautifully done. But I asked them, how did you, develop the context by using this information? And they told me that we did the customer interview. So, even within the Google company, they need qualitative information to develop a context. So that's where, marketing research company has expertise in it. So that's my point.
Absolutely. So just to be clear that you are honestly, Hontoni, asking market research companies to come to you with proposals for this model. How can they do this data integration?
Yes, yes. Oh,
sorry, Ray, I was just going to jump in with a question that's come through on the Q&A panel that sort of ties into this one. It says, would you work with smaller companies, or do you need the company to be an established big MR company?
Probably the marketing research company capable to deal with lots of data would be a kind of a big company, because that requires a lot of expertise to deal with different kinds of data. That means that they would need different people with expertise in different data. And then, when talk about data integration, it does not need to, truly integrate with each other. It could be just a collection of lots of kind of data. But the point is that, we need to sort out, this is the data for these purposes, and that is the data for that purposes. So we need this kind of sorting out the data, and also and then link them to the customer text. So, I don't think we need a kind of a systematic integration of data. We can just put all data together. But the point is to get the customer context from it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Quite interesting. I've been talking to a lot of large data integration and artificial intelligence companies recently, and they find that 95% of the work is in organizing and understanding the data. Mm-hmm. That the synthesis, once you've done that work correctly, is much more straightforward. So we've had one question, so let's go to the Q&A stage. And Sue, do we have any other questions out there at the moment?
We've got one more, and then we'll be finished. It's, how attractive is a back-end function to attract future CI professionals?
Oh, because, this is the position for marketing researchers specialized in new data and tools. So they are encouraged to explore lots of new data and tools. So they are always in the forefront of marketing research data, not marketing research, data and tools to get customer insights. So it's not a boring job. It's an exciting job.
Absolutely. And also for some people, it is the job that they want. They don't want to be talking to stakeholders. They want to be working with data. Mm-hmm. And to broaden this now, we had a meeting last week of the SMR Council. And one of the interesting consequences for the research industry is, if we want to grow the research industry so it takes care of what you are calling the back-end function, all of these data analytics, the integration, and so on, we need to accept as members of our trade bodies, our SMRs, and our local trade bodies, such as the JMRA, people who work in market research, but who are not market researchers. People who are data scientists, people who are marketing scientists, people who are data integration, Python programmers, these sorts of people, we need to welcome them into our industry so that the back end, as you've called it, is a very welcoming place and a place where you can earn good money, to be truthful.
Mm-hmm. So what is the question?
Just agreeing with you that this is actually very attractive,
right.
very attractive.
Exactly.
And we need to advertise really the research industry, and I think you've done a good job of that in Japan and actually in the Asia Pacific area. So, domo arigatou gozaimashita. I found that very interesting, and I look forward to hearing how many market research companies reach out to you with their proposals.
I'm looking forward to it.
So thank you very much for that presentation, and thanks, Ray, for the Q&A.